My Hero Academia, Chapter 246, Message. So this was a very exciting chapter and a lot of information in this one. A very foreboding chapter at that. So let's get into it because there's quite a few things to talk about. So it's opening up where the previous left off, and we see that Tomura is talking to the doctor about this quote-unquote power-up that he's going to receive. So it doesn't seem like it's going to be immediately what we were talking about in the previous chapter, like all the things that we speculated about. It seems like it's going to be an alteration to his body. So what I assume is happening here is that the doctor is going to turn Shigaraki into like some kind of Nomu or Nomu human hybrid, something. I mean, obviously his body is going to change so that he's able to handle the new development that he has of his decay quirk, the full power of it, if you will. And we're seeing a lot of cool parallels between Shigaraki's development in this quirk and what we originally saw of Izuku with One For All. Actually, what he still does. Like, if he uses the full power, he's going to wreck himself. Same thing with Shigaraki here. So the parallels continue, like they've always been there, but it's more evident now that it ever has been, and that's pretty cool because they both have the wrecked arms from using the full extent of their quirk. But also, we get more developments on the friggin' quirk singularity here, and this is something that's very interesting. This was first talked about, at least I believe so, in chapter 166 by Seiji from Shiketsu, when he's in the stands during the second provisional license exam for Todoroki, Bakugo, and Yaorashi and all of them. He sees like the little kids that they're taking over and they're trying to, you know, control and whatnot. And he sees that their quirks are so beastly, and Present Mike's like, wow, things weren't this, quirks weren't this powerful, or I wasn't this powerful when I was their age. And he's like, yeah, because things are getting more and more powerful as time goes on and things are getting more out of control. And then he says that it's, there's like the quirk singularity doomsday theory. So apparently Yujiko was the one who invented this concept, and hey, go figure, he seems like to be probably one of the most knowledgeable characters in this world, at least with an understanding of quirks and stuff. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, we're also seeing that like the quirk singularity is definitely a thing. As more generations go on, the more powerful the quirks will become, and the less control that individuals will have over them, more so your body. So there's like two different translations of this chapter, as there always is, but it seems like this time the translations are very different between the two different ones. So I'm going to be going with the more, the newer translation, I'll say, for this one, because it seems to have like a better understanding of things. Not saying that the previous is bad, I'm just going with this one, but he's more so saying that instead of saying memory, like in quotation marks in the other translation, where it's not so much just like memory in your brain, but he's talking about like memory in a computer. In this translation I'm going off, he says the hardware isn't evolving fast enough to keep up with the software's rapid development. So the software, of course, is the quirks, and the hardware is your physical body. So the hardware not being able to keep up with it, along with Yujiko saying that this original thing was meant for All For One, this is definitely an augmentation to Shigaraki's body, allowing him to be able to handle the full power of decay, as well as having multiple quirks, because that's obviously what's going on here. And we've seen that, you know, before the Nomu's bodies, they were obviously modified so that they could have multiple quirks, as well as the power of their certain quirks and everything. So I don't know if Shigaraki's literally going to go to a cocoon for this to happen, but regardless, whatever it is going to be extremely painful, and this is like a reason for Shigaraki to be out of the picture for the next 4 months, because that's how long this is going to take. So that's what the timeline is. We were trying to figure out what the timeline was in the previous chapters. Like, is this going to be how long it takes for him to make the Nomus? Is this going to be for the prison break? No, just this surgical procedure or whatever, the operation, the augmentation, it's going to take 4 months. But as for the multiple quirks that I was talking about, because we always assumed that he was eventually going to get All For One, but now it seems like he's also going to get One For All. So this is super interesting, because Yujiko is literally saying that, and I had to take a double take here. I was like, wait, One For All? And of course it says this in both translations. So how is he going to get it? Or is he going to get it? Is this just something that's probably a prospect? But you have to consider that your Horikoshi's putting this out there for a reason. So like, is he really going to get One For All? Like, does he even need it? I mean, I just, like I said, we just assumed that he was going to get All For One, but now One For All too? It's like, wow, that's too much. the villains already have too much, and Shigaraki already has too much, but even One for All, how is he going to get this? You can only really speculate, because we know that it can only be given willingly when they consume their DNA. You can't just forcibly take it. So has Yujiko developed another method of taking this? Can he somehow extract like 1/18th of a remnant of it from All Might, even though it's implied that All Might doesn't have anything left in him of All for One after he passed on to Izuku and used up everything they had left against All for One? So is he going to somehow extract a piece of this from Izuku? Or like I said, maybe he has some kind of method, or maybe there's just something that we don't know yet that Yujiko knows. So then we see that Endeavor is talking to the same government people that are overseeing what Hawks is doing, and they're just encouraging him to get the interns as much experience as they can get with villains so that they can get more powerful that way, and it's going to benefit everyone. This is also talked about at the beginning of this arc when we see the round table of all the staff at UA. And it also keeps talking about how, like, in case of failure, everything will be put onto the students. They're the backup plan, essentially. So I feel like this is definitely going to happen, unfortunately. And what I feel is ultimately going to happen here in 4 months is that there's going to be a huge battle, like almost a war. And no, I don't think this is going to be the end of the series. At least I certainly hope that it isn't. That would be a little too soon to end it, in my opinion, unless they just wrap up everything in the next couple arcs within this 4-month time span. But I feel like this is probably going to be like the turning point of the series. This is probably going to be like the Marineford War, the Summit War of One Piece, but for my hero here. And I feel like we're going to get a few deaths at this point. Now, All Might obviously is going to die, unfortunately, and I don't want that to happen, but the writing's on the wall. It's always been there. Hawks might die too. Hell, maybe even Endeavor dies during this point. But even if they don't die, or the ones that are guaranteed to, they will probably be out of commission. And there's going to be a point of where everything is essentially placed on the students. Like, maybe all the pro heroes die, or most of them die. And then it's like all the pro heroes all the students have to get more powerful, or they have to go into hiding or something, or they go somewhere else. Maybe Japan gets completely taken over and they have to go to America. Maybe that would be interesting, a new way to introduce that whole element to the story. Or just something like that happens. But there is obviously going to be a big war, and I feel like the villains are going to win. More so Shigaraki is going to win. And maybe everything just gets destroyed, like I said, and then there's this whole big paradigm shift. And I don't know, the students are forced to take over, and they're forced to become stronger out of necessity, possibly. Now, that's kind of weird to think about, how there's just nothing is left, and now there's no UA anymore, all of the heroes are gone, and I don't know, everything is just in complete turmoil. That's a possibility, or it's just that the war does happen, and there's no clear verdict, but like clearly the advantage has gone to the heroes, and that, the villains, and that the heroes have lost way more than what the villains have lost, possibly, and then they both go back to their corners. And then I guess they'll come back again at another point. But something obviously big is going to happen. And it's not going to be during this arc. Maybe in the next 2 arcs. It really depends on how far Horikoshi is going to stretch this 4-month gap. But for this arc, it just looks like Endeavor and the big 3 of 1A are just going to be doing like their own little thing. Maybe going against like a Chisaki level threat in the meantime to build them up. So then to finish off this chapter, we're getting 2 pages of awesome double spreads of seeing what Class 1A and 1B are up to in their internships. So we're seeing Tokiyami with what I'm going to assume are his sidekicks, which we found out that's what he's up to. Then we're seeing Ryukyu's team is back together with Asui, Ochako, and Nejiri. Ida is back with Manuel, Jiro, and Shoji. They're with Gang Orca. That's a nice little development. Wash, we're seeing this character again. I don't think we've seen since they were introduced. One of the top 10 heroes is with Koda and Manga Fukudashi, the odd character from 1B. And then it seems that Sato and Ojiro are with, I guess, Hound Dog Man, it appears to be, and they're also with Jirota and Shota of 1B. Monoma and Pony are back together. Ashido and Aoyama are together as well. They've always had that dynamic to them. And then we see Yaoyorozu and Tokage are doing an internship together. They're both recommendations. And then something interesting, we see Edge Shot with Kamui Woods and Mount Lady, and Edgeshot has one of the Liberation Manifestos. Interesting. So was this given to him by Hawks, or was it, passed down the lane possibly? And they're with Kaminari, Sero. We see Mineta in the back there, and then it looks like to be Shiozaki. And then Team Fat Gum's back together with Kirishima and Tamaki, and then Tetsu's there as well, which is awesome. I'm glad that they're all back together. I'm sure this was by request of Kirishima. And then on the next page, we see All Might looking it's very sad. Looks like he's about to cry possibly, so maybe something has happened. This also kind of lines up with Tsukuuchi and Gran Torino in this page as well, because it looks like they're in Tartarus, right? But Tsukuuchi has his hat over his chest, and he has that solemn look on his face. So is he sad? Has something happened? Also below them, we see Kurogiri locked up the same way that All for One was. So did something happen with Kurogiri? Did he tell them something? Has something been revealed possibly? It remains to be seen, but something good definitely hasn't happened. So also on this page, we're seeing Kendo and Reika. They're with their pro heroes. Then we're seeing Shiketsu High as well, which is pretty cool. Inasa's there, Seiji, Kami, and then one student on top of them in the back. I think we actually might have seen this guy during the provisional license arc. It was the guy that has the black face and the white eyes, a similar quirk to Kuro Iroi. I'm assuming it's something like that possibly. He's also here, and he's with the mushroom girl by the name of Kinoko. It was also revealed in the data book, the new data book that just came out, that he has a crush on her, so that makes sense that they're together. And then speaking of being together, we're also seeing Ketsubetsu students here in Shindo and Tatami. It was also revealed that they're a couple. They're in a relationship, so we're seeing them here too. That makes sense. Bondo's there as well, and it looks like he's with a hero that has a super glue head. Then we've got Awase and Hiryu. They're interning together. They're both martial arts dudes. Then we got Kamakiri, Kaibara, and Subaraba. They're all together. And then one of my favorite characters, Honanuki, he's with Yui. They're interning. And then we see Principal Nezu. Then we've got Mirio looking hopeful into the sky. Don't worry, I think his quirk is coming back, but I'll make a video about that. see Eri with Aizawa and Present Mike. Eri's horn looking bigger than ever, so that's going to come back into play for sure. And then, of course, we have Bakugo gearing up along with Todoroki and to finish it off, Izuku. So it looks like they're getting ready. It says until the appointed time, refine your skills. So yeah, things are going to be kicking off in the next chapter most likely. But talked about it a lot. Let me know what you thought about my theories of what is going to happen and what is happening currently. If you liked it, please give it a like. I also have a Patreon. It gives you access to a weekly Q&A. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a